Everybody, welcome back to Omens. I'm your host Ryan, AM air pronouns, and this is episode 47, Temperance. Alright, we're back on our major arcana. I hope everybody had a hopefully good Thanksgiving, or at least afterwards was good. And you recuperated, fine, if you didn't have a good one. If you had a good one, awesome, great. Hope you had a fun, relaxing wind down afterwards. And if you didn't, ouch, but hope you had a good wind down afterwards. Alright, either way. And if this is well after Thanksgiving, well, I hope you had fun with whatever Thanksgiving you last had. And if you didn't have Thanksgiving, I hope you ate good food. I always hope everybody eats good food. I don't care when or why, there's no real reason, but you know what, you should always have good food. Alright, anyway, moving on. Temperance. Just the word in itself evokes an interesting image. So temperance is often, the word itself is usually used in a Christian connotation of being non-alcoholic, basically. Like refusing to drink. That's how most people, it's most common usage in most of our culture, I think. Or at least for sure here in the U.S. Christian, I think probably European. I don't know, I've never been, well, I've been to Europe. I have not infused myself in the culture, however. So, not 100% sure on that. So if it's different for y'all's country, comment down below. I'd be curious to know, like, what's the first word that you think of when you hear the word temperance outside of a tarot? Or outside of a tarot? Or if the first thing you think of is tarot, like, what's your cultural connotations for temperance? That's curious. I'm always curious about many things, but words as well. All right, so anyway, but temperance in the alchemical connotation, or tempering, it's part of the alchemical process, and it's the point where it's, we'll get to that a little bit later, but the other aspect of tempering, which I really wanted to get into, which I'm sitting here staring at and saying the wrong thing, a method of tempering by fire and ice to make it stronger. So, like, if we're thinking blacksmithing, you temper the items you're making. So let's go with a cliche example, a sword. And so to make a sword stronger, first off, you get a block of iron. You're melting that down, beating the shit out of it, cooling it off, seeing how it looks, melting it down again, beating the shit out of it, cooling it off. So by fire and ice, quote, sort of, quotation marks, basically cool water in general, you're working that metal to temper it, to change it from one form of molecule to another. It's how we go from iron to steel, is by tempering it. So temperance, and it's used kind of in that same connotation in alchemy, being able to break something down, melt something, beat it or push it hard to change it into something else, and basically you're working to change it from one form to another, basically through trial, in order to make it stronger. So temperance as a word, just right out the gate, fascinating stuff. And then where the hell non-alcohol comes into that, I'm not 100% sure, but it's there. So that's another connotation for it, is temperance being, what is the word? Medium. It's not, moderation. There we go. Thank you. Being of moderation, not doing too much of any one thing or too little of anything. Doing just the right amount that is good. All right, temperance. I love the temperance card. it holds a special place for me, as you can tell by the fact that I'm launching into it without even actually getting into my usual round of things. So anyway, we've got all that fun rabbit hole. So let's get into the actual segments. First off, our numerology segment, because yay, numerology. And we have my Archeon Tarot here for that. I almost said Hush Tarot. It's not, it's the Archeon Tarot. So we've got a female-bodied person standing. She looks kind of childlike. It's probably an adolescent. It's adolescent-ish, especially with the round, chubby cheeks and the face. It's probably someone just after puberty, just hitting puberty type deal. Kind of that look, like she's still got the baby fat in her face, but she's getting a little rounded in the hips and breasts. So, you know, still young. She's got little white wings behind her, so lovely little angel, this person. I keep saying she because yay for programming. Love that shit. Not. Alright, so we've got this person here, little cherubic looking being. They've got one hand on their hip. Nah, one hand kind of on her buttock, on their buttock, as they look down over that arm that they've got on their buttock, at the lamb on their one side. On the other side, their hand is reaching out to kind of pet a tiger. So we've got a tiger and a lamb. Not quite the lion and the lamb, but tigers are slightly deadlier. And we like tigers more. Don't tell the lions that, though. They might eat me. Alright, so we've got a cherubic being, adolescent, female-bodied, cis female, but I don't know. Language needs some updating. Definitely needs some more updating. Alright, so anyway, so that's our card for here, and our numerology is the 14. So 14 is the number of the Temperance card. So we break that down into 1, 4, and 5. So altogether, so first off, number 1 is the entrance to the physical plane. It's the expression of the physical body in relation to the outside world. It's the self or the ego, whether it be the expression of it or the suppression of it. And I still got these from my same numerology book. I just went to a different section in the book because I was getting tired of reading the same old stuff. So we're going to change it up, and hopefully that'll force me to actually read the book completely all the way through at some point, because it's got really interesting stuff in there that I have not been... Anyway. So Temperance, first off, the expression of self, and the physical body, which we've got kind of here in this card with the fact that this person is, well, naked. They're comfortable in their physical body. And honestly, that hand on the buttock, it kind of looks like maybe that lamb bit them, and they're like, ow. Probably not a hard bite, considering they're just kind of rubbing it, like, ouch, how dare you do that type deal. So the 1 is ego. 4 is about containment and regularity, so it's, of course, strongly associated with a square. It's the center of the physical plane, so this is our so we've got 2 physical numbers right out the gate. 14 is 2 physical numbers doubled up. 4 is practical and organized and can be a little impatient, because 4s want things done, and they want them done now. Like, none of this dilly-dallying around and trying to do things perfectly. We've got things all in order as is, and they need to be done. 4s are very meticulous and do it. A little bit impatient. Alright, so we've got our 2 physical numbers. So we've got, now I will say with this, so 4 is an earlier number, which means it's only just kind of starting on its expression. It's only just kind of starting on its journey. So we've got that here in the fact that this person is an adolescent person. They're no longer a child per se, but they are still young, still growing, still learning what they like. So that meticulousness, that youngerness of the four, where things are, especially in adolescent, things are a little bit more impatient. We just want everything done now. It's like, why doesn't all of this exist all at once? Why must we live in linear time? It's just so inconvenient. So not fast and efficient enough. So we've got kind of that sitting here. That 4 is a little bit adolescent, and we've got that adolescence here. All right, so 1 plus 4 equals 5. So 5, this is where we finally get a different type. It's not a physical number, it's the center of the soul plane. So the soul, the heart, the fire, and the water, our emotion and our gut, that's where the soul plane is. Yes, that's correct. All right. 5, it's at the very center of the numerological birth chart in the Pythagorean system. So it's a tic-tac-toe square, and 5 is smack dab in the middle, surrounded by 4 walls, whereas everything else has only 2 or 3 walls. 2 or 3. Which is hilarious because 5 is the number of love and freedom of expression, or freedom in general. And the reason for that, because in order to be free, you have to work your way out. It's boxed in to represent the work that must be accomplished to achieve freedom. It's 5 is very much a symbol of the heart. The heart chakra is our 5th chakra, right? 1, 2, 3, 4? No, it's our 4th. 5th, 6th, 7th. Yeah, never mind, that's our 4th chakra. Ooh, that's fun. Okay, so the number 5 associated with our heart, which is our 4th chakra, and what is temperance? 1 plus 4. Ooh, I love it when that happens. I get chills. That's fun. All right, so we've got a little bit more 4 in here. All right, so 5, center of the birth chart. It symbolizes love, freedom of expression. It's a heart. Okay. So we've got all that, and we've got that 5 innocence here in the fact that love and freedom. So lambs often kind of innocent and enjoying the wings, the white purity, innocence. You know, you free me, tiger, wildness, freedom. It's like it's all kind of all right there. So 14 is a culmination of the 1, 4, and 5. And so a good way to put this that I stole from somewhere else. Freedom in practicality and... No, wait. I made this up. Motherfucker, I'm getting good at this. I don't like that. Alright, so freedom in practicality and organization. Patience, free expression of the self. Maybe daydreamy, but their feet are firmly planted. Damn, I'm good. That's scary. Alright. So, I know this sounds like a really odd way of putting it, but there is freedom and creativity in being practical and organized. If you can match the flow, if you don't restrict yourself, but you don't allow yourself to just, like, if you want some structure to keep yourself from being spread everywhere, but you don't want to box yourself in and close yourself up. So 14 is freedom of expression, the freedom to be found in practicality and organization. It's about being a little bit, I get the feeling it's a bit more about being a little bit more patient, about instead of trying to push forward, it's like, no, let's hold back, let it go with the flow. Bring in a little bit of that 5, let it just kind of flow. The 1 is... And the reason I bring in a free expression of self, it's because there's a 1 in here. 14 is a 1. Even the 4 and the 5 are still young and close to the self as opposed to the multitude. It's still a little bit more about the self. You're figuring yourself out. I mean, adolescence, this is the time when humans figure themselves out. When they are all about themselves because they're trying to figure out who the fuck they are. That is, wow, I really like adolescence as a term for this. This was the perfect card. Archeon wasn't wrong. Okay, or was it my gut wasn't wrong? Yeah, well, whoever made the decision. Anyway, Yeah, so it's all about adolescence, the freedom of expression and creativity, about being able to, make things, being a little bit more patient, because, things are going to take a little bit of time, but we can just kind of go with the flow, and we can create as we find things, but we find that structure and order in order to not spread ourselves out everywhere and just die hard, fast, and short. Yeah, damn, I wrote that well. I'm shocked at myself. All right, so that is the numerology of Temperance. So the alchemy of Temperance, I have my, not that, 1 card. Oy. Brain back on track. All right, have my supernatural deck here, and this is Jody Mills, our sheriff, pouring a glass of wine. She's just standing there kind of looking kind of calm, and Jody Mills is, well, she kind of extols temperance. She is a very hot-headed, hard-headed lady, but she is older and wiser, and she knows not to be dumb, and she will often, like, okay, yes, but hold the fuck up, hold the phone, we going to wait and think this through. You get her going, she will go all out, but she's also much more the calm, let's think this out first. She's often the voice of reason in the show. All right, so in alchemy, Temperance represents the constant flux and reflux of active and passive in universal expression. Is universe expression what? Oh, the expression of the universe, and it's the fact that it's constantly in flux and reflux of both action and passivity, both being active and then sitting back, taking a break. So it's the constant flux back and forth, the pendulum swing from one state to another, up and down. All right, Temperance is about understanding and balancing. In alchemy, tempering is where we start learning, understanding, and balancing the cycles within ourselves. Like, we get to know our own flow. We get to know when we feel more active, when we need to actually take a break. We start paying attention to how our cycles move. The constant flux of the universe, the constant flux state of us and the universe, allows for spiritual, physical renewal and regeneration. So basically, if we're constantly in motion, then we're not stagnant. Stagnation is where we start just melting, I guess, dying. It's just like there's no change here, there's no growth, there's no nothing. It's not a good state. It's kind of bleh. So it's not on this card, but oftentimes the traditional RWS drawing of the Temperance card is a person with 2 pitchers that are flowing out water. So the 2 fluids and the 2 vases are the lunar and the solar energies manipulated through the path of either the dry way or the wet way. So this has to do with the fact that there's 2 types of ways in alchemy. One is dry, one is wet. I know I've mentioned it before and actually explained it a little bit before, but I forget what it is. And it's represented by the fact that the figure in the Temperance card, 1 foot is on land and 1 foot is in the water. So dry way is the foot on land, wet way is the foot in the water. 2 pitchers, the lunar and solar energies manipulated through all that. Or in this card, the fact that we've combined them all into 1 pitcher and we're working with them both at the same time. We'll go with that. Alright, so that's the alchemy. The astrology of this card, I have my Gilded Tarot here, which has a lovely woman in red. She's flying through the air. She's got red hair, red dress. There's a planet behind her. A big red planet behind her, kind of like Mars, even though this isn't about Mars. Alright, she's got 1 silver goblet and 1 gold goblet. The gold goblet has got fire coming out of it, but there's also a stream of water in between the 2 goblets that is in both of them. Like the silver one's got more of a splash of water, but it looks like the water's going up into the fire goblet. So solar and lunar energies, like right there. She's also got pretty sparkles around her legs, and the hand that's holding the goblet is blindingly full of light. Both of them are. You can barely see her hands. All right, so in astrology, Temperance, ninth house, Jupiter, Sagittarius corresponds to the zodiac sign of Sagittarius, which rules the ninth house and is ruled by the planet Jupiter. X plus X1B. What the hell is my shorthand? Don't know what my shorthand is. Alright, so Sagittarius has to do with long-distance travel, higher education, philosophy, the journey being greater than the destination, chasing adventure and excitement, so basically Sagittarius is chasing the adventure and excitement that's just over the horizon. It's just there. I know it is. And then we get there, and it's just over the horizon, the next horizon. It's Centaur. So Sagittarius is very much the expression of freedom, of go forward, move forward, higher, farther, faster. Basically, so the Centaur of Sagittarius is a unity of beast, which is wily beast. That's what I wrote there. Whoops. So the Centaur, first off, you've got the beast of the horse, which is the animal instinct and intuition, and that's what's driving the person, is this horse, the legs, the beast, the animal instinct, and then the torso and head of a man, which is like steering. So the animal drives, the man steers. So Sagittarius tends to be run by their emotions, but they've got their head all in the game a lot of the time. Not all the time, though. The Centaur of Sagittarius is a wily beast. It's a restless adventurer and an offbeat philosopher. The arrow of Sagittarius, because that's a symbol, is a straight path of expansion. So basically, they hook their eye on something, and they go straight for it, and it cuts open. It's like a widening. Like as they go forward, they're seeing all around them at the same time. So Temperance it corresponds to Sagittarius, basically changing and expanding the gut and the head at the same time, working together. Yeah, so that's the astrology. The Kabbalah of Temperance. So Temperance corresponds to... Wait, I forgot the card. So our card here is the Mermaid card, as the Mermaid Tarot. We've got a mermaid kind of sitting on their butt, holding two... Well, one's a potion bottle, one's a mug that looks like a potion bottle, except for it's got a handle. So the mug's red, the potion bottle's blue, and she's pouring the potion bottle into the mug. Well, now I say she, but it's a little bit odd. It's just the way they painted them. So they're sitting on the one side, and they've got a cloth over one shoulder. They've actually got a wing. Just one wing, not two, like a little tiny angel wing, and then the hair over one shoulder and kind of blowing forward from their face, which made the way they drew the face like really sharp. They kind of look a little bit androgynous, like the breasts are really small and the face looks more square, like a little bit more what we assume is a male face. So could be, I mean, I won't assume gender with this one. They're kind of gender ambiguous, I suppose, or physically gender ambiguous, I guess you could say. So that's this mermaid. They've got a rose in their hair. It's very pretty. So the Kabbalah, Temperance corresponds to path 25, or which is represented by the letter, the Hebrew letter Samek. And path 25 goes between Tifrat and Yesod. So Tifrat is the sixth Sephira. It's also known as Beauty or the King. It corresponds to the sphere of the sun. So Tiferet is the sun. It's also right smack dab in the tree, and it corresponds to the heart chakra. It is... I lost it. It's located in Alambaraya, or the realm of creation, which in my... my view of the Tree of Life corresponds to the element of water. Corresponds to the element of air. Wow. Had to remember which one it... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. The element of air. So creation, ideas, and creations start in the mind, in my case. And my understanding, it's like they spark in the soul, and then they really start blossoming in the mind, and then they come into fruition in water. So a lot of traditional Kabbalah associates that with the Alambaraya, with the element of water. I associate with air just because it makes more sense alchemically. It's also the place, Tifrat is the place of the divine child, Messiah, or Bodhisattva. So it's very much Tifrat is right in the smack dab in the middle. It's the place of the divine coming down to earth, the earth going up to the divine. It's the meeting place in the middle. Yesod is Sephira 9, so it's straight down, still in the pillar of harmony, which is the middle pillar, which Tiferet is also located on, which is straight the middle pillar. So we're going just straight down from 6 to 9, Yesod, which means foundation, and is also the sphere of the moon. So we've, again, got the sun and the moon. The path, Temperance is the path between the sun and the moon here. It's located in Olam Yetzirah, or the realm of formation, which corresponds, in my mind, to water, in a lot more traditional Kabbalists, to air. Because water is where things sit and start actually being made. It corresponds to the unconsciousness, or the formative years. So it's where our beliefs and our instincts really come from, where what we really believe is, unconsciously revealed. That's where we really believe stuff. All right. Also corresponds to the sacral and root chakra. It has to do with the instinct. So Temperance is the path between 6 and 9. Tiferet and Yesod, the sun, the sphere of the sun, and the sphere of the moon. The heart chakra between the sacral and the root chakras. And totally skipping the navel chakra, or the solar plexus chakra. We're just gonna skip that. Well, anyway. So, yeah. Ugh, I'm getting tired. Alright, so that's Temperance. Temperance is the flow in between those two Sephirot. So the Kabbalistic angel to go with Temperance is Havakia, or Angel 35, whose name means the God of Joy. And we've got an angel here in full medieval battle armor, kneeling kind of in prayer, one knee down, one foot, one knee up type deal, hands clasped in front of their stomach, and their head bowed. So Havakia, the God of Joy, is one of the powers, so the sixth strength of angels out of 9. Their psalm is Psalm 116, verse 1. And they support familial peace and harmony. So, hearkening back a little bit to where to go. Where did it go? From my planet. I just saw it. I know we saw it earlier. Thought I saw something about familial harmony earlier. Alright, anyway. So Havakia supports familial peace and harmony. They rule over contracts, successions, and amiable distributions. So anything that has to do with a splitting up of things, basically a giving the right amount to everybody type deal. Those born under Havakia love to live in peace with everybody, and they make it their duty to repay fidelity and good offices of those in their service. So basically, they make sure everybody's correctly compensated. They don't like to shortchange anybody. Those born under Havakia. Havakia is the sole guardian of those born from 11:20 to 11:40 a.m. The physical guardian of those born September 6th to 10th. And the moral guardian of those born February 5th, April 23rd, July 4th, September 14th, and November 25th. So that would have... Wait, wasn't that Thanksgiving this year? I forget my dates. We don't do dates around here. 1, 2, 3, 4... Yeah. So if you were born on Thanksgiving, or if you had somebody be born on Thanksgiving this year, congratulations. Also, I'm sorry if your birthday was on Thanksgiving. I hope that didn't suck. I hope maybe they enhanced your birthday instead of burying it. Oof. Ouch. 11:25. Okay. So, anyway, moving on. So, the being with the Fantasy World Tarot for Temperance is the Sea Nymph. And we've got here a lovely young lady dancing on stormy waves under a full moon in a purple night sky, wearing a lovely pink toga, kind of just a pink wrap more than anything. She's just kind of dancing on the waves. So, sea nymphs are, or also known as nereids, are personified divinities of the sea. According to Greek mythology, there's anywhere between 50 and 100 sisters. It depends on which myth you're going with, or which author you're reading, I suppose. They are the daughters of Nereus. What did I spell? Nereus. That's a U, not an L. I can totally read my own handwriting. So the daughters of Nereus and Doris, they're granddaughters of the Titan Ocean, and they are found on the waves of the sea or rocks of the coast. They have a friendly nature, they're protectors of sailors, and they're sometimes tailed, and they have a pink-red skin, which does not show up in this, well, yeah, no, the author painted this one as a white person, basically, with blonde hair. I mean, there's still a pink toga, so there's the hearken to pink-red skin, but maybe she didn't know that. Alright, so some of the more famous nereids are Amphitrite, the queen of the sea, and Poseidon's wife, who, when Poseidon asked for her hand in marriage, she screamed no and ran away, and he sent Dolphinus after her, who convinced her to come back and, actually talk to Poseidon, and she ended up marrying him. And they apparently had a pretty good relationship. I mean, Poseidon did send a sea monster to eat the daughter of the queen, who boasted that her daughter was more beautiful than all of the nereids, which, yeah, that was dumb. Alright, another famous, there are quite a few famous nereids. I'm only talking about 3 of them just because space. Another one is Thetis, or Thetis, I think it is, who is the nereid of generation, basically generating things, creating new things, who was the mother, who's most well known as the mother of Achilles. I forget who the father was, but yeah. So, and she is the one who dipped him in the river Styx, I believe it was, and he became invulnerable everywhere except for his heel, where she had to hold on to him so he didn't get swept away. So, which eventually became a problem, but everybody needs a weakness. All right, another famous Nereid is Galatea, who is the Nereid of Seafoam. She's got two myths. She was either sought after by Polyphemus, the Cyclops, the famous one from the Odyssey. She ran away from him, and there was a big kerfuffle. I think she ended up dying, most likely. The other myth associated with Galatea of her existence is there was a sculptor who fell in love with his sculpture, and Aphrodite, I think it was, took pity on him and brought it to life, and that was Galatea. Except for that doesn't sound like a Nereid story. Alright, anyway. But it's a slightly happier story than being killed by the Cyclops. So, yeah. Alright, so that is the being associated with Temperance, and I'm pretty sure she associated it with Temperance just because, see? Sometimes I question the choices of this author or artist, but I can usually make it work. So, well, which, if, by the way, actually, if we're making it work, if we put the Nereids as in Temperance, they were friendly. They protected sailors. They're like, okay, look, they were divinities of the ocean. They were personified. They were the personified sea. So the sea is very pretty looking, and they were known to be friendly, but the sea is also very dangerous and deadly. And if you fucked with them, as what's her name found out, the sea will eat you. I could see a little bit, but also I'm getting mildly tired, so and it's only been 35 minutes. Yay. Alright, so the traditional meaning of Temperance, I have my vice versa tarot for that, and we've of course got our angel here, who is supposed to be androgynous. So as opposed to in, like, say, traditional artwork where they just make them naked and androgynous, this one has a full-length white robe covering everything except for their head, neck, and hands, because, you know, let's just be somewhat sensible about this. They've got red wings, which I know correspond to something to do with alchemy. Can't remember it. They're standing on dry land in front of a pond, and they've got 1 foot kind of in the water. It's more like it's just standing on the water. Yeah, there's on land. Their wings are spread wide. There's a mountain peak behind them, a perfect symmetrical peak, I might add. Their white robe has the symbol of sulfur and mercury on it. On their head is a golden circle to represent the sun, and they're pouring from a golden goblet, water from a golden goblet into a silver goblet. So it's a very serene, peaceful, kind of symmetrical view. On the back, on that side, we see in the background distance is the post that the hanged man of this deck was actually hanging from earlier. It's kind of sunset from this view, going on twilight. There's a red lion and a white eagle, which are symbols of alchemy. I forget which one specifically. Yay. Oh, also the front has white lilies on it. So in traditional reading of tarot, Temperance has to do with the day-to-day balance, basically day-to-day balance, just kind of keeping things going, swinging the right way. Usually there is, on the angels, and like RWS, there's usually a circle either on the forehead or on the tunic. I think it's on the forehead. There's a circle, and then on their tunic there's a triangle inside of a square. And that triangle has to do with the mind, represents the mind, square represents the body, and the circle represents the spirit. So it's the balance of mind, body, spirit. Basically is the square or body, mind, spirit as the square, triangle, circle. And Temperance also has to do with alchemy, whatever that might mean, the upkeep and moderation, basically keeping things in moderation and balance is kind of its traditional keywords. Inverted, excess, a whirlpool, a vortex of crazy. Sometimes it's where you live, sometimes it's where you need to visit. It's like sometimes you're just, things are all out of balance, all out of whack, and you just need to slow your roll. And sometimes you need, things have been too calm, they're getting stagnant. You need to mix things up a bit, like go a little far out on a limb type deal. And that, at 40 minutes, because apparently my voice is dying, and so am I, is the Temperance card. So, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it was informative and hopefully interesting. I always find them informative and interesting, and we had a really strong start, kind of died off near the middle and end. Sorry about that. If you stuck it out this long, kudos. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for listening. Yeah. Whew. Sometimes I feel like I could do these better justice at a different time, but oh well. It is what it is. It works. And you know what? That's kind of what Temperance is about. The cycles of knowing whether you're going strong or you're starting to fade. And I've started strong, and now I'm starting to fade, so I mean, it is what it is. That's life, and Temperance is, at its core, about life. Life is the constant flux and flow state of motion and, well, yeah, just the state of motion. Motion and emotion. Alright, so thank you all for sticking around watching this. If you made it all the way through, kudos, good job. Give me a like. Comment down below, tell me you did make it through all the way through this. If you feel like it. Subscribe, email me if you got information. Hopefully, I'm hoping by now I have everything up and running for all the new stuff I'm doing with this site, or with my business, but we'll see. I am recording this a little ahead of time, so yeah. But anyway, we'll see how everything's going. So find me on Facebook at OwlFoxOmens. By the way, I changed my business name. It should be obvious by now. But yeah, find me on Facebook. That's where I do my daily card pulls. Y'all have a good rest of your whatever, and we will see you next month when we start with the Three of Swords. Alright, bye-bye.